Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's summer proceedings. But before we continue, may I ask our religious leaders to offer prayers. Imam C, you have the floor.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين وإن تستفتحوا فقد جاءكم الفتح نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر وسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما وصحبه وسلم تسليما سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Imam C. Bishop, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Lord God of all creation, creator of heaven and earth, creator of all human beings, the one who have called each and every one into being. We call upon your most holy name this morning hour, and we ask that you look kindly upon us, this nation, the Gambia, as we sit in this Trrc, as we seek to bring out the truth, and as we seek by your goodness and your mercy and your grace to bring about reconciliation, to bring about healing, to bring about reparation. The Lord, you will direct, that all who will testify here will speak the truth, and nothing else but the truth, so that, Lord, the healing process will continue to take place, so that the nation will smile again as one family, one big family. We ask that you will direct and protect and defend all that we do in this place. This we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bishop. Council, do we have any witness appearing this morning?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I think it's been long awaited. Today we have the good fortune to have an important witness testify before the TRRC. May I ask that the witness be brought in, please? Yes, Mr. Chair, it is true. It is Sanna Sabally who's appearing before the Commission.
I, Sanna Sabally,
I, Sanna Sabally,
do swear that
do swear that
I'll speak the truth,
I'll speak the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
You may be seated, please. Mr. Sabally,
Yes, please.
welcome to the TRRC.
Thank you very much.
We have met a few times
Correct.
in preparation or as we made arrangements for you to come and testify.
Correct.
Like I have mentioned out of these proceedings, this is not a court of law. You are not under trial. You are here to assist the Gambian people in our quest to find the truth about what happened during that period in which you served in the AFPRC. It's not a witch hunting exercise. We are not castigating anyone. We are here to find the truth about what happened. We are here to try to identify the wrongs and mistakes that have been made. We are trying to heal the nation. We are trying to reconcile and unite our people.
Okay.
And I believe that's the main reason why you agreed to come and testify.
Exactly.
You are not under arrest. There is no legal process that is keeping you here by force.
Okay.
You are here voluntarily. Is that true?
Yeah, I think I will say that better. I come here for my nation. I come here voluntarily. I am not under force, and nobody begged me to come either. It is my will to come to take part in my nation's issue as far as the TRRC is concerned.
Thank you very much. There is something else I need to clarify. When people come here, we do our utmost to treat them as human beings, to treat them with respect, to treat them with dignity, even though those individuals may not have treated others by the same principles or by the same rules. But nonetheless, we do our utmost to treat everybody with respect. When they cross the line, of course, we will be ready to deal with them. But our principle is, as a people, we can have the most difficult discussions without having to insult one another, without having to maltreat one another. And that is the courtesy we are going to accord you. We're going to treat you with respect because you are a human being because you are a Gambian. Thank you very much.
Thank you
So
very
now
much.
let's start the process.
Okay.
I want to discuss some few topics with you. First is your biography. We want to know who you are. We want to be certain that we are talking to the right person.
Okay.
The next topic would be July 22nd. Why, how, by whom, and why it succeeded. What are the institutional failures that made the coup to succeed?
Okay.
We asking those questions because we don't want coup d'etats in our country again. We need to be able to make recommendations for institutional reform which would prevent coup d'etats from happening.
Okay.
We would also want to discuss your time as vice chairman of the AFPRC, especially violations that you and your entourage committed against civilians.
Okay.
Those who were shot on the road, those who were harassed, those who were beaten. We also want to discuss with you the attacks or the torture on 6 September 1994 of Ibrahim Chongan and co.
Okay.
We would also want to discuss the November 10th and 11th.
Okay.
We want to discuss the reasons for the coup or attempted coup, the personalities involved, what plans there were as you know it, the fighting that occurred at the various barracks, your role in that, the role of other people, and how these other soldiers who were captured were executed.
Okay.
We also would want to discuss with you your subsequent arrest, torture, detention, and ultimately your conviction and release and life thereafter. Those are the topics I want you to discuss.
Okay. Thank
The
you.
most important principle here for us is the value of speaking the truth.
Okay.
You have made a commitment to speak the truth. I remind you, it is a criminal offense under the laws of this country to lie under oath. It is a criminal offense to also lie before the TRRC. Are you ready to discuss these topics?
I am.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
What are your full names, please?
I am Sanna Sabally.
Mr. Sabally, you speak quite fast,
Okay.
so I'd urge you to take it a little bit slowly and allow for 3 seconds between our speeches so that our speeches would not overlap.
Okay.
Your date of birth, please.
20th February 1965.
Where were you born?
I was born in Kasakunda village, Kamba Central, Western Division, now Western Region, or the West Coast Region.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school, my primary school was Brikama Primary School from 1974 to 1981. Of course, this is 7 years because I repeated primary 6. Then 1981 to 1983, I went to Brikama Secondary School. Then it was a Brikama Junior Secondary Technical School. Later to be named Foster School because William Foster was the headmaster. And later Alpha Khan. 1983 to 1988, I went to Armitage High School.
And what did you do after Armitage High School?
After leaving school in 1988, shortly, I wanted to go to England to study medicine, but then my father retired from work, and the responsibility of the family hung on my shoulders, so I decided to go and look for a job. I went to Sunwing Hotel, but that was only for a few hours. It was really not conducive for me to work there. I left Sunwing Hotel, coming back foot to the stadium to where I stayed in Dipakunda, and then on my way, it was in the morning, I decided to go to Paul Maron supermarket to buy biscuit and eat for my breakfast, and then there I found a job.
And then how long have you worked there?
I worked there till September, October. Then I heard on the radio announcement for the military wanted recruits, and then I went and participated, and I was lucky to be selected. That was,
What date do you recall?
Okay, this was I was enlisted into the Gambian National Army on the 2nd of January 1989.
Which intake?
Intake 12
And where did you do your training?
in Yundum Barracks.
What rank did you attain when you completed your training?
After completion of my training, I was promoted to a Lance Corporal, and shortly thereafter, I was promoted to a Corporal.
For how long did you serve as corporal?
This was up to 1990. I was promoted to Lance Corporal, just in preparation to go to Liberia. Then our company commander was Babukar Jata, the B company.
Which Babukar Jata are you referring to?
Babukar Jata, who would become the army commander after 22nd July.
Is he known by any other name in the army?
It's disrespectful, but we used to call him Dafo.
What does that mean?
It has different interpretations.
Can you tell us?
Okay, from my own side is that he's very much village-like. That means he presents himself exactly what he is. He is not unalloyed.
I don't understand that. Could you break it down, please?
I mean, he is exactly who he is. He's very honest and straight to the point. If you give him one butut, he will keep this for 10 years, and if you come, he will give you the same butut.
And what is the other connotation?
This could be from people that, okay, he is not, a village boy.
Okay. So, did you eventually go to Liberia?
No, I didn't go to Liberia, but I was trained. We had 2 weeks training, and then we had 1 week holidays. But already I was promoted to a corporal and attached to the commander's as a commander secretary office with Alaji Kante. And then we went on 1 week holidays in preparation to go to Liberia, meaning when we resumed, we were going to go to Liberia on the 14th of January. So when I resumed on the 14th from holidays, I found already I was promoted to a lieutenant and ready to go to America.
Did you go through the officer selection board?
Yeah, I did that 2-3 times. 2 times when I was in the recruitment training, because they wanted 15 candidates and they got only 14. So Lamin Gassama, who was ADC to Gawara, and Dennis Coker, who were our training lieutenants, thought it necessary to put me in as a substitute to make it 15 candidates. And in these exams I passed, but I wasn't promoted because they said I was still under training. The second training the second cadet course come also. I was still on the training, but almost finishing my training. Again I passed, but I wasn't promoted for the same reason again. So when the third training came, when the third course came, I said, no, I'm not going to take part anymore. You use my results for the 2 past exams. And that's where I held it. I never moved an inch from that line, because this was all based on tribal issues. It's hard to be told, but that's what the reality. And then that's how I left it. So when I resumed on the 14th from leave to go to Liberia, I found that I was promoted to a second lieutenant.
Were you the only person promoted in that particular period?
On that particular day, I was promoted with Yankubu Toure.
What was his rank prior to that day?
At that particular point, he was a sergeant. I was a corporal.
So both of you were promoted the same day?
The same day. And he left the same day to America because there was only 1 seat available. On the 21st of January, I also left for Fort Benning.
Both of you trained at the same place?
Exactly. We first went to Texas, Lackland Air Force Base, Defense Language Institute for 2 months. And then we proceeded to Fort Benning, Georgia for the officer basic course.
Do you recall when you returned to Gambia?
This could be August, so to say July, August. I can't remember exactly the date, but July, August.
Of which year?
1991.
Good. So you returned to Gambia still with the rank of second lieutenant?
Exactly.
Where were you deployed when you returned?
Yundum Barracks.
To do what?
I was an infantry officer.
were you platoon commander or you had some other responsibility?
I was a platoon commander on the B company.
And who was your company commander?
As I said, Babakar Jata was the company commander.
And tell us your progression in the military until the eve of the coup d'etat in July 22nd.
Okay,
1995.
I underwent many internal courses, weapon courses especially, and at the end of the day, I was promoted, I was given an assignment to be the support weapons commander.
What does that mean, support weapons commander?
Okay, these are, we see the AK-47s, these are normal personal rifles that anybody carries in any situation. But when there is an occasion to use these heavy weapons, these are the mortars, the artillery, so to say. These were under my command.
So,
But I did not have any men under my command, and we'll come to that, please.
so basically you are responsible for coordinating the use of heavy weapons
Exactly.
during operations.
Exactly.
But you're saying that there were no men under you.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Okay, and what other positions did you hold?
Certainly, we underwent also with our officers, General Jala, for example, but this was when the Nigerians were already here. We went on through an intelligence course, and then General Jala left for England, and then Captain Ann, Pamudu Ann, was the intelligence commander for the infantry battalion, Yundum Barracks, and then when he was moved, I took over briefly from him.
As intelligence commander.
Officer.
Intelligence officer.
Right.
And what happened after that to your career?
After that, I was moved to Katong actually, sorry, I'm speaking Dutch, because our big company was responsible for Katong military post, and we used to alternate on weekly basis. I mean the junior officers, the second lieutenants. It was myself, Sanna Sabally, Samper Mendy, and Obimbai.
And after Katong?
After Katong, then Tura was in Kudang, Yankuba Tura was in Kudang, but he was under Farafenye, because 2 battalion was responsible for Farafenye. Then I was moved from Katong to to Kudang, but under Farafenye.
So you are now in the same place with Yankuba Ture again?
No, I took over from Yankuba Ture.
You took over from Yankuba Ture.
Exactly.
And what did he do when you took over from him?
He returned back to Farafenye.
And for how long did you remain in Kudang?
I remained there until 1993 independence time, or shortly before the independence. I was asked to come on loan to take part in the parade. I refused.
Why did you refuse?
Because the parade was under one infantry battalion, which is Yundum, and they had officers who were capable of doing the same job I was called in to do, and I was not under one infantry battalion but 2 battalion in Farafenye. And I didn't get any information whatsoever from my company commander. Rather, the information come on radio to say I should report to Yundum Barracks, and I refused.
Is it normal?
It is normal.
Good. So you were not sanctioned for refusing?
No, my refusal was based on that I had to receive orders through my command, which is Farafenye, and not Yundum Barracks directly.
So you did not participate in that parade?
Eventually, it was like no more loan, but I have to be transferred. And I was transferred, and I was happy with that, and I came back to Yundum to take
And the
part.
transfer this time was done formally through the right channels?
Exactly.
Right. So you moved to Yundum Barracks?
Exactly.
Which year was that?
This was 93.
Okay. So you remained in Yundum Barracks until when?
I was there until shortly before July, a week or so, or the same week exactly. I was transferred back to Farafenye, but now under the GNARS, meaning the Gambia National Army Training School.
Okay, we will come back to that issue.
Okay.
Your transfer to Farafenye in July. But let's say we fast forward.
Okay.
After July, you became vice chairman of the AFPRC. And in 1995, January, there was purging within the AFPRC.
Mm-hmm.
You found yourself in jail. You served 9 years in prison, and then you were released. What
Right.
did you do after that?
After my release,
Yes.
After my release, I went to Senegal. This was on the 16th of February. And I came back on the 17th to attend the Independence Parade. And then after the independence, on the 21st, my life was attempted on, and I had to leave the country for good.
Can you explain that? What do you mean by your life was attempted on? Explain how that happened.
Actually, it's a long story, but to cut it short, I have to be grateful to one Sehu Bijaju. He lives in Sukuta. And 6 months before my release from prison, he came to the prison to visit me. Actually, at this point in time, I had no visits. I wasn't allowed anything. But out of nowhere, he came to visit me with his wife. And out of curiosity, I did ask him, how comes you come to visit me? Then he said he got permission from the chairman, which is Yaya Jame. I said, no, you can't go there like that. And then he told me he's from Sukuta. He talked to Babakar Jata, the army commander, and then that's how he got permission to come and see me for 30 minutes. And then since that day on, almost every day, he would bring me almost all the newspapers in the country, and he would bring me provisions, and then the friendship started like that. But for me, on the security aspect, I knew something was not in order there. And I took instinctively, I was ready for anything. Meaning, I knew he was implanted in the future, for any operation, for example, to assassinate me.
He was a security officer, was he?
No, he was not. He was working with Gamstar Insurance Company.
He was an agent.
Actually, I would not confirm it, but due to the circumstances that had unfolded, I could definitely say yes. But on the side of his help towards my family, I'm really grateful.
And then what happened afterwards?
Then, during these last 6 months, as I was in the prison, I used to go to the polyclinic, actually RVH. Then I had a toothache. And along that line, Alaji Martin, who was a W02, warrant officer class 2, and Lance Corporal or Corporal Ibrahim Ajouf, commonly known as Prince Johnson. They used to come almost every day when I was at the hospital, if I have to be there. And then they used to come with a particular man who I later come to know was from Guinea-Bissau, called Amadou Buaro.
Could you spell the name, please?
Amadou Buaro.
Could you spell the last name?
Buaro, B-O-U-A-R-E. O-R, sorry.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And then tell us what happened.
Like I said, each day I was in the hospital, the polyclinic especially, this man would appear outright in front of me. And there was a doctor, a dentist, he was a Nigerian, called Dr. Emmanuel. One day I was escorted by Sergeant Ablai Bojang, and we were sitting waiting for my turn to go to Dr. Emmanuel, and then Dr. Emmanuel came out and asked me to come into his small room between a doctor and his patient. And Ablai Bojang somehow refused because I was under escort. And he was right. Then Dr. Emmanuel said, I want to talk to my to my patient in person. I understood the situation. I diffused the situation. I told him, he's he's a guard. He has a right to be wherever I am. And then he allowed Ablai Bojang to be inside the room. And then he told me outright in question form, do you know this person, meaning the man, this Buaro? I said, no, I don't know him. You have never seen him? I know, I've never seen him. Is he not a family member? I said, no. All were in the negative. And then he told me, I come from Nigeria. You have to be careful if you have to leave the prison. He could be a potential assassin. And I kept that also to my bank. I left the prison, fast forward. When I left the prison, I was in Kotu with my sister. The same man came there. And luckily, there was a soldier who was my driver, actually. He was in Fajar Barash at the time. They had a training, and then he came on break. And then he was in uniform. This same particular Buaro came, and then he said he was looking for Sanna Sabally. My sister questioned him and asked him, where do you know him? He said, oh, I am from Bissau, but this is somebody I like very much. And when he got arrested, it's like my whole world was devastated. But now that I heard he has been released, I have come to see him. At this point in time, I was in the bedroom, by God's grace. So Wahab told him, you have to go. I know why you are here. Because Wahab saw his weapon on his body. This was the first incident. The same evening, if we know exactly where I was in this compound, if you are sitting in the sitting room, there is a window behind the TV, for example. If you look through this window, you see directly to Kololi Tavan. And we saw these two men coming with a wheelbarrow with charcoal. They came directly into the compound, and then they said they were selling charcoal. But fortunately for me, it was like I saw this AK-47, this folding butt, right in the charcoal wheelbarrow. And Wahab questioned them, why are you here? What is this weapon for? Because they were speaking Creole, I could not understand any word. But later Wahab explained to me what he had talked with them. And then they also left. The third time, it was like, as I said, with Sehu Bijaju, with all the good things he have done for me, I come to understand he was an agent, implanted, whether he knew it or not, but I think he was put there so that they would know at any one point in time where I would be. And along this line, I also was doing my security checks, and I told him one day, Sehu, I want to go to visit my auntie in Kafuta. But I never went to Kafuta. It was just to give them a decoy, a ploy, to see if I was being followed. And I told him, as I said, I told him I was going to Kafuta, but I never went. And I went to my cousin sister in Lapikunda Sabally. I stayed there till in the evening. I called Sehu, I said, oh, I went to Kafuta, but thereafter I went to Gunju to buy fish. But this buying of fish was also not there. It's just to give him that how I spent my time that whole day. And later, when I have to leave the prisons and went to Dakar, I got the information from my family that Alaji Martin, W2 Martin, was in Kafuta on this particular day, and they went to Kafuta to my auntie, to her compound, and then they asked for Sanabi Sabally. My auntie told him, no, he's not yet here. He is in the prisons, because my auntie didn't even know I was released. And then he told my auntie, according to my sources in the family, that he's lucky. If you had found him here, he would have been a dead body.
And as a result of that, what did you do?
I didn't do anything because I didn't know it until when I was in Dakar.
At what stage did you decide to go to Dakar?
Okay, thank you. As I said, when I went to Dakar on the 16th, I came back on the 17th for the independence. I stayed up to after the independence. On the 21st, that night, Alaji Martin and this particular Buaro, they came to where I was in this house in Kotu. This was a house rented for me by my father. And then they threatened the watchman, and then he allowed them inside. But on this particular night, as I said, I did not sleep in that house. I told my wife clearly, today we are not sleeping here. If we sleep here, tomorrow we are dead bodies. So my wife went to sleep with my sister. I went to sleep with my father. And that early morning, I left through Banjul. I went to Karang, then to Dakar.
So your suggestion, therefore, is that Alaji Martin was sent to come and liquidate you?
Exactly.
So you went to Dakar, and for how long did you remain in Dakar?
I remained in Dakar from 2004 up to 2008.
And then what happened after that?
I left Dakar 2008 for Germany.
And what did you do in Germany?
In Germany, when I went to Germany, since I left the prison 9 years on the heart condition, so to say, I went through a therapy, medical therapy, and after this therapy, I went to the medical field. And I qualified as a nurse, a psychoanalyst, psychotherapist, and a psychoeducationist.
And what work do you do now?
I am in the same field, medicine.
Doing what?
I take care of trauma patients, trauma clients, either families or individuals.
Where?
In Dakar.
Wonderful. Well, I guess we can now go back to July 1994, when you were transferred from Farafenye to Yundum Barracks. Okay. But at this stage, can you tell us a bit about the command in the army? Who was responsible for the command in the army?
A good question.
The question should in fact be when you were transferred from Farafenye to Yundum.
Back to Yundum.
Yes, please.
Okay. In this point in time, No Gambian army officer was in charge of the army situation. Rather, it was the Nigerian army training team called NATAG, or Nigerian Army Assistant Group, in short.
How was the presence of the Nigerians viewed in the army by the various groups or the various cadres in the army?
From my own point of view, I did not accept it deeply in my heart. I never accepted it. And I believe other members of the armed forces also had the same mind.
Why didn't you accept it?
Actually, the protocol as we saw it was that when the Nigerians come into the country, this was normal between a government and a government. Security help is okay, assistance. When they came in, we were thinking they're going to help us, assist us as trainers, like we had before with the British Army training team, the BAT. But when they came in, they sat in all the positions, key positions in the military. And for us, this was like a no-go.
Why was it a no-go?
It was a no-go for the simple reason that they come in, as we were told, coming to train us, and that was the exact name they had, Nigerian Army Training Assistant Group. So why would they be occupying the positions where the Gambians should have been? So for us, first interpretation is that the government that brought them into the country had no idea about what they were doing, or they have no respect for the military.
Your egos were stabbed. Your egos were attacked, pretty much.
Of course, they treated us with no dignity.
And at what cadre in the army was this feeling harbored? You were a junior officer, second lieutenant at the time.
Correct.
Was this feeling shared amongst people, officers at your level?
Throughout the whole spectrum of the Army Officers Corps, it was. But along the line, we have to accept the reality, and that means the Nigerian Army Training Team, they came in on two forms. They gave us the operation side and also the admin side. On the operation side, that was completely negative.
Let's try to understand that a bit.
Okay.
What was negative about the operation side?
They could not train us for anything that we didn't know.
How about the admin side?
The admin side, they did 100% wonderful, because they were able to restructure and organize the army as an army supposed to be worldwide. They introduced the terms and conditions of service, meaning the TACOS, and then they showed us exactly how we should be as officers and men in a military.
But aside from that, all the other things that they did, how would you assess them?
Actually, if you have to assess the whole situation, we have to look at it from different points of views. For example, the personnel, the uniforms, meaning the equipment, operations, for example. These are all sectors of the army that are different. Auto transport, for example.
Okay, let's look at it from the various sectors.
Okay. When you come to the equipment, we are under-equipped. Of course, we had some heavy weapons under my command from the Chinese, and the Nigerians also came with weapons, of course, but here I would say the weapons were from the Biafra wartime.
Expired, useless?
Completely. If they were fired, if you are lucky, they will go off the barrel. They will go off the barrel, but when they land or they landed, they would not explode.
They were dead.
They were dead completely.
All right. And looking at it from another angle, say the training side.
The training side, they were only good in the classroom. They will tell you everything from the book, but on the ground is completely different.
Did you participate in any training that was organized by the Nigerians?
Yeah, I did.
Can you tell us?
Yeah, one was in Farafenye, combined training with the Chinese. This was after going through the classes. We went to Ndanka Ring in Farafenye to practice physically how these weapons are to be operated.
What was the performance of the Nigerians?
Performance were in two forms. One, the Chinese weapons were 100% perfect. The Nigerians weapons, as I said, they were from the Biafra time. They were not in good order.
They did not work?
No.
By nay you mean yes?
Okay,
Oh,
they did not
no.
work. They
Oh,
did not
you-
work.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Did you participate in another training?
Then came in, I think if I'm right, in September or October, I cannot remember exactly when, but we had a training called Nying Exercise Dokuo in Kudang.
And what is your assessment of that training exercise?
Okay, I come back a little bit. As I said, I was a company commander for the weapon support weapons, but without men, meaning I had only the equipment. And I was supposed to have at least minimum 120 to have those weapons employed in a normal battlefield. We were going to Kudang for this exercise. Major Saluk came and said, Lieutenant Sabally, I said, yes, sir, you have to prepare the weapons for Kudang. I said, I don't have men. And the pushing and pulling started. You have to employ this weapon in this training. I said, no, I will not move any weapon from Yunum Barracks to Kudang because I don't have the men. And it went like that.
Were the weapons eventually moved?
No. Fair not.
So the support weapons that were needed for that particular operation were not available?
No, they were not available, but in the army we could do dry training.
What do you mean by dry training?
Meaning you explain how things are, you give examples, while the men are standing in a form of a half circle, and you explain the situation. Who should be the gunner, for example, if you are military minded, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Who should be at one flank, when this weapon should be employed and when not.
Basically simulation.
Exactly.
Good.
Correct.
Did the training take place in Kudang at all?
It took in Kudang.
Did you participate?
Yes, I did.
And tell us about the training.
It, as far as I'm concerned, in a nutshell, it was half-half, successful, not successful.
Overall,
it's ambiguous about that's how
you
it
are
was.
being ambiguous. Overall, was it a failure or was it a success?
I would say, okay, failure. If I would say failure, that means totally unfair to the Nigerians. But as I said, when it comes to the admin side, this was perfect. But when it comes to the operational aspect, it's a no-go. It's sad to say.
The operational aspect failed.
Yeah, correct.
Can you tell us some of the reasons why you think it failed?
We were not prepared to go to Kudang in those times because we are understaffed. One, we don't have the correct equipment. The vehicles were not proper. The arms and ammunition also were not in good order. We are not totally prepared.
How about the operational guidelines?
Fine, as I said, everything comes from the book. This they could tell you A to Z correct, but employed on the ground, this is two different things.
So you're suggesting, therefore, that they were unable to implement on the ground the operational plans that they put together.
Correct.
So therefore, operationally, it was a failure.
It was a failure because at this particular point in time, if I were a part of their training team, this is what the GNA needed at that particular point. This is what I would have impacted on them.
But it failed.
It failed.
How did the Gambian officers who were present perceive of what was going on at the time? How did they react or respond to the training?
It was a mixed feeling. One, as I said, when the Nigerians came in, we had no command positions in the army. Here, when I mean command position, I'm not talking about the subaltern, the junior officers, but the senior command, meaning those who are captains and majors. Fine. As a training team, for me, I would have expected them to, any command position being held by a Nigerian, to be seconded by an GNA officer at a particular point, so that we would be learning from them. In the event they have to leave the country at the end of their term, we would have been ready to operate our army for ourselves. But this had not happened.
What was the position of the other Gambian officers who were present during the training? How did they react? How did they respond?
Okay, when the training was ended, we sat together, or we stood together, and then we had to review what had happened from A to Z, what went wrong, what didn't go right, what went good. And at this particular point in time, the senior officers of the Gambian National Army were so embarrassed, or disgraced, so to say, to a point that personally I felt it was better even if I was not in the military at the particular time.
Why was that?
They were disgraced because Saluk, one of the colonel of the training school at the time, called Omar Fai, even my child can do better than you. And these were the officers, the senior officers in the military at the time, on whom we had eyes on that they could lead us into anything for the betterment of the army.
Was that criticism justified?
In a sense, it was, because comme ni wolof ngay waxe ni nga joxe sa bop non lañ la tiyé, right? Because at this particular point in time, there became in the army self-interested individuals, and this was particularly in the senior army officers from the Gambian National Army side, meaning they knew the Nigerians would leave eventually, but also 1 or 2 people have to be trained as army commanders, and this was in line. Umar Fai was sent to America to study to become army commander potential, and along that line, infighting was in, hypocrisy, if I would call it better that way, and it was like everybody was fighting for himself to become the army commander.
Mr. Sabally, feel free to speak in whatever Gambian language you would like.
Okay.
I know you speak multiple languages, so feel free. This is an entirely Gambian process. Okay. It is important that some of our people out there who could not understand English to also have an idea what is happening here. So feel free to switch, as you please. We have interpreters, they are here to assist. Okay. And I would in fact be particularly grateful if you could at this stage maybe switch to Mandinka or to Fula or to Wolof, whatever suits you. But feel free to speak in whatever language you want.
Mbadi Mandinko la naka moilal coming for tenting na sojar kundato watoto
during our army at that particular
in short
time.
segments.
Okay.
Allow them to change. Allow them, the interpreters, to change. Yes.
Okay. But I hope I'm not taking their job from them.
No, they would speak in English. You would be speaking in Mandinka. I just allow them to change. Are we okay in the booth? Yes, Mr. Sabally, you were talking about the problems that arose in the training in Kodang. You got to a point where you were telling us about the jockeying for position, right, for the commandership of the army. So could you continue talking about that in Mandinka?
Okay. Mbadi Mandinko na kamoilal kon kam mfo wole nyinti ko na sojar bundato mu Gambian National Army to watora 1994.
The interpreters would now speak.
Okay.
Can you take that again, please, and in short segments, huh?
Mbadi Mandinko na kamoilal.
Fellow Mandingas and those who can speak Mandinka. Is that within the army at that time,
the Gambian National Army,
at that time the leaders were Nigerians. But they are coming into this country. The reason was for them to come and help us, so that they can prepare us, so that they will also become very good soldiers, so that the country will recognize them, so that they will become leaders in the army, so that wherever they go they can represent the Gambia correctly. That's the way they thought it should be. But when the Nigerians came here, they were blown and removed from their positions. Well, they didn't come with respect. Even what they know, the Gambians, even what they know, if they say that, they will say that's not it. So they came to realize that they themselves belittled themselves. That's what Mandinkas say. Well, the cobbler prepares your juju as he saw you. That belittlement, well, it is they themselves who placed it on themselves.
But another for Temboto,
it came to a point They came to a point and saw that, well, they are in fact teaching the Nigerians. Because they didn't come here by themselves. People brought them into the country. As the government, the sitting government was the government which brought them into the country. That was the PPP government. If you have a log in your compound, and it is standing in the middle of your compound, anybody who passes will come and kick this log and fall down. If you want to cut that, you have to cut it and uproot it totally. This was the first reason for the coup d'etat.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Of course, you had other reasons for the coup d'etat.
Exactly.
Could you kindly dilate on that?
Actually, it is an open secret.
You are testifying now in Mandinka.
Oh, okay. We are still
talking about the army.
Nigerians.
They came and informed us. Somebody will be selected when they leave, who will become the army commander. Because of that information, so there came a time when everybody was fighting for himself. I don't know whether people from Kaur are around here. But they call in Mandinka, charity from Kaur, each one for himself. This was the problem they had. Their leaders, who were supposed to stand for them and fight for them, so that they can have all their rights, what they need. But if those people turned and became fighters for themselves only, so as for them, the ones below, they didn't get anything out of it. So the middle ones, the junior officers, let's say the middle cadre, there are other ranks below them. If those people cry, they come to us. And it cannot go like every time when they come, we tell them lies. Because they are human beings. So there are people among them who you know,
they are intelligent better than the officers.
They are more intelligent than some of those officers.
In the army,
it's just how they came into the army.
To become an officer.
They were unable to get ranks to become officers.
So
people like those people, you cannot tell them lies every time. We have to tell them the truth. As the Mandinka proverb goes, if you are ashamed of the eye, you cannot dissect the head.
And Gambia
the whole Gambia knows at that time, the time of the PPP, things that were happening in this country, corruption was everywhere. Because personally, myself, I have an example out for that corruption.
May on the 4th, 1994.
On the 4th of May, 1994. My father died.
Minister of Justice.
I went to the curator at the Ministry of Justice, so that I can get his little pension, which is very small. It's his money. I went there since May.
For July, take over time.
Up to July, the time we took over. Every day I got there. And every day. Till one day there was a woman there. She was a secretary. She told me, officer, I see you every time you come here. What brings you here? I told her, you are the people why I am here every day. I came to collect my father's money. She told me, you have to put your hand in your pocket and give something to these people, then you can get your father's money. That's the day when I stopped going there.
The same issue coming at over ke.
The same issue since they took over.
Waketa arjuma lungole.
That was on a Friday.
Sibito dimaso.
Saturday, Sunday.
Lungo.
Monday.
The director member nunje.
The director who was there.
Ye mokina anala file.
Sent somebody with a file.
Anata for vice chairman's office.
He came up to the vice chairman's office.
Ya bula dunta.
They allowed him to come in.
Ako nyambota curator.
He told me, I am from the curator's office.
Nata puriye fama la kodo sign.
I came for you to sign your father's money.
Nka murung ibota dameng.
I told him to go back where he came from.
Ila position you have to respect it.
You have to respect your position.
Go
Go and sit down there. I will come to you.
And
that's how I did it. I went there. I went there to sign my father's money. I told him you shouldn't have come to me because today I am in a position. The position you are holding is everybody can hold that position. The reason why I came here, my father's money was here. That's what I came for. That's why I told you to go back where you come from. It wasn't that I belittled you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sabally, for that. In your documents, in your write-ups that you provided us, you have also listed some reasons as to why there was a coup d'etat. Right. And I'll just read out some snippets and get you to weigh in on that. Okay. Here in one paragraph, because what I have may be different from what you have in terms of the arrangement, you said there was political intolerance, oppression, and autocracy to the last degree, and the mere readiness of the Gambia armed forces to enforce their rights as Gambian citizens only resulted in a change of government without any bloodshed.
Correct.
So your view of the political situation at the time was that there was political intolerance, oppression, and autocracy. Right. Do you still hold that view?
Of course, at that time, 100%.
Thank you very much. We would switch back to Mandinka at some stage. At some point, also in your write-up, you said as follows, quote, "We felt if we want to live, we have to fight." In brackets, from the saying, if you keep pouring water in a rat hole, the rats will come out fighting.
Correct.
That is your statement. So you think you were pent up in some rat hole and water was being poured in and you had to come out. You were compelled, as you believe, to change the democratically established order. That's your position.
Correct.
You have also indicated that the GNA must have the courage of its convictions and find violations where they existed and correct them, to preserve life and the dignity of the human being and to limit suffering.
Correct.
So in a sense, you arrogated to yourself the responsibility to be the watchman of the country, to see where violations existed and you correct them.
Correct.
Was that really the role of the military?
We did not arrogate this to ourselves, but from the Constitution. We believe in any genuine democracy, the Constitution is the supreme law. And we, as the Armed Forces of the Gambia, coupled with our Gambia Armed Forces Act, we had a duty, a bounden duty, to help preserve the country, protect our national integrity.
Yes, that is true. But protecting the national integrity and protecting the sovereignty of the country is, in fact, not to hold coup d'etats. Is, in fact, to protect the country from external aggression and not to interfere
in the internal matters.
In internal matters, and not to be the custodian of law and order.
Point of correction.
Please go ahead.
The Gambian National Army is not only there to help the country or to help the country to defend itself in terms of external aggression. Before you can defend an external aggression, you have to defend yourself. And as I said, the constitution was there for everybody. We are not there ready to salute any individual who was not there to uphold the constitution. If you break the law, why do we have to uphold that law when you are the custodian of that law, when you are the people who promulgated those laws?
I just wish to understand the mindset that led to the coup d'etat. So was it or is it your view that as soldiers it was your responsibility to correct wrongs in the society? Was it your responsibility to find violations where they existed and to correct them?
Okay, if we would say in the society, that would be far-fetched, or that would be a wide net. But as I said here, we were only dealing with the government directly. And we had the Government National Armed Forces Act, where we are all sworn in to uphold our duties to the nation, not to any individual or a particular group of people.
That is accepted. That is what you are expected to do.
Right.
But of course, you would agree that it would be too much of a stretch,
right,
to give to yourselves or to think that it is your responsibility as soldiers to find violations that exist in our society and to correct them.
If we had not done that, we would have failed the nation.
But so you still maintain that that's your responsibility?
It is our responsibility.
All right. But that is the mindset, of course, that led to the coup.
Exactly.
You also said in your writings that the GNA's role was to make the government not to let standards be watered down,
right,
to suit only members of government,
correct,
encouraged by the fact that the outside world was watching.
Exactly.
So you thought that it was also your responsibility to be a check on the government in the event that standards were coming down.
Of course, any government that has not check and balances, forget it.
So your view is that the armed forces have that responsibility?
At this particular point in time, we had only the army that could have come in and helped. No other constitutional institution would have helped, not the elections.
You also went on to say that the GNA was impelled by the Constitution to act without any further delay. And it was different. It touches the government as its most sensitive point.
Right.
How they, in brackets, government, exercise power over their citizens.
Correct.
The GNA had to intervene to force the government to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights,
right,
and promoting and encouraging respect for fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to religion, tribe, region, or political affiliation. That's your view, correct?
Correct.
Don't you think you are descending in the realm of politics where the army should have no business?
But if you would exclude the army from politics, what are we? Are we not citizens of the country? Don't we have say in the matters of our country?
No, the army should not be involved in politics.
Then we are not citizens of the country.
No, you are citizens of the country with limited responsibility. Your responsibility is to protect the state from external aggression. Your responsibility is not to be a watchman of the state to see whether fundamental rights are respected or not. That is not the job of the army. Would you agree?
I don't agree. If I would understand what you're trying to say, we as the watchman of the nation, we should blindfold ourselves and let things go the way they were going. Then where is the respect from the public to the military or to the security services? So we would have failed in our bounden duty to the nation.
So you think it is your responsibility as soldiers to be correcting the ills of the society or your perceived ills of the society, and that you can intervene anytime and change the established order in the country?
No, that would not be correct. But when a situation...
Mr. Sabally, that is what your writings and your position here seems to suggest, that you have a responsibility to find violations and correct them. You have a responsibility to prevent violations and human suffering. You have a responsibility to ensure that the government standards don't go down.
Correct.
These are the responsibilities you think you have as a soldier.
It is not thinking. This was the reality. Here, when I said so, I was talking directly from the military. And it was the same thing, I believe, with the civilian population also. And that is our bounden duty, as I said, to stand firm and make sure that we hold the government accountable. And this is what we did on the 22nd July.
And by holding the government accountable, you thought you have to overthrow that constitutionally elected, democratically elected government.
It was a democratically elected government, but if I would ask, we don't know how many times we've tried to get in touch with the government directly for talking. Everything failed. The Minister of Defense, we never had the chance to talk with him.
Yeah,
and I believe
that may all be right, but what we want to understand is how the junior officers who carried out the coup understood their responsibilities as junior officers, how you understood your responsibilities to the nation. Because if this is the view that the soldiers or officers at your position would hold today, don't you think it would be fearful for Gambia?
Fear could, yeah, you're 100% right. If the same situation is there again, I believe the nation will get up and tell the government, hey, go.
But Mr. Sabally,
right.
Can't you distinguish these two? The nation, the people, civil society getting up or rising up against the government is different from the military taking it upon itself to overthrow a constitutionally established order. Don't you see the difference in the two?
Unless if you want to tell me the military is not a citizen of this country.
Yes, the military are citizens of the country. But the military, it's excluded from direct participation in the politics.
100% correct.
So therefore, you cannot descend in the realm of politics to try to correct the wrongs in the society.
When things go abnormal, you follow those abnormalities.
So you also become abnormal.
Right, correct.
And
if we understand it that way, because I want you to understand, we were exercising our bounden duty as the military. And in exercising our duty, we felt it necessary to remove the government so that we institute another government.
So this discussion is just to understand the mindset.
Correct.
Why the soldiers did what they did. And if this is the mindset that still exists in the army, perhaps maybe you are right that Gambians need to be fearful. And maybe this is one issue that would need to be corrected. The mindset of the soldier in the Gambia National Army should be reoriented in the right direction so that we would not have coup d'etats again. Because what you are saying, if that is right, if that is the mindset of the officer in the Gambia National Army, then we are at the mercy of the army. There would be unending coup d'etats in this country. Don't you think?
Point of correction. No.
Go ahead.
This would not be the mindset of the military. It has never been. It was an occasion. If you have a cancer and you go to the hospital, it needs quick surgery.
So in fact, you are saying that the position that you arrived at is not the position that one would find in the normal regular army.
Correct.
So this was an aberration. It was a completely different setting.
If I understand the word aberration.
That this is different. This is out of the norm, out of the ordinary.
Okay, correct.
Yeah. So it was just therefore you and like-minded persons who took it upon themselves to correct the ills of our society.
We did not take it upon ourselves. It was a necessity. We are carrying out our bounden duty to the nation.
But let's get it correct. It's either normal and appropriate or it is abnormal. Which is it? Was it normal for you to do what you did or was it abnormal?
Up to the time we took arms and went for the government, it was normal. But from the moment we took arms, it was abnormal.
It was an illegality.
Illegality in the sense that we are going for the government.
you knew you were stepping or overstepping your authority and your responsibility as soldiers?
We went with responsibility.
No, you were overstepping your duty as soldiers.
I don't understand what overstepping has to do with this issue here. We are carrying out our duties as military, a national duty we are carrying out.
So was it your national duty as a soldier to overthrow the established order, to overthrow the democratically elected government?
Nowhere in the Constitution is a coup allowed. Nowhere in this world.
Nowhere in any law is a coup allowed.
Yep.
So by staging a coup, you are taking it upon yourselves to embark on an illegal venture.
100% correct.
So therefore, your position that it was your responsibility as soldiers to correct the ills in the society is a misconceived notion.
No.
You still maintain that it's your duty.
Right.
Okay. Well, how can that be your duty and that it would be illegal for you to act on that duty?
Laws are promulgated by individuals or a group of people, in this case the politicians. If I know when I go left what the dangers are, I will make sure that I make a demarcation there so that I don't get those dangers across on my head. And these laws promulgated so that no military can come in to take over the government. But I can tell you 100%, if you want to find any good administration anywhere in this world, go to the military.
But we are not there yet. Where we are at is trying to understand the mindset that led to the coup d'etat. You think it was your constitutionally given responsibility to remove a government that you believe was not performing for its people.
Correct.
That is your belief.
It is not my belief. It's in the Constitution. We have to uphold the nation, the Constitution, and
but
if they violated the Constitution, why do we have to leave them there?
But the Constitution tells you that
right.
Anybody who tries or even contemplates, participates, or plans to overthrow the established constitutional order commits the highest crime of treason.
Exactly.
So therefore, the Constitution would not give you the power to do so.
That is in the Constitution is a threat so that nobody attempts it.
So it is quite clear to me that the whole idea that was in the minds of you, for that matter, at that time was a wrong or misinterpreted appreciation of the power or the responsibility the Constitution has bestowed on you as a soldier in the Gambia National Army.
Anybody could interpret it the way he or she feels about it. But from our point, we interpreted it the way we acted upon to help our nation.
Yes, you may think so. But what I want to establish here is that the idea, you had that idea, fine.
Correct.
And that idea compels you to do what you did. That is a given. But the issue is the idea right? Is the idea justified among soldiers? Because if you say yes, it would mean that other soldiers can do it. If you say no, then perhaps we will recognize the illegality involved in such a venture and the inappropriateness of such action. So where do you stand? Is it justified for soldiers to harbor those notions and therefore overthrow a government, or do you think it is unjustified?
We have already talked about that. Treason is illegal. Therefore, anybody who takes it upon himself to go along that line, you are walking on a line of illegality.
Perfect. So therefore, that notion that you harbored, what you thought was in your power to do was wrong.
It could be wrong, but we had our reasons.
You would always have a reason.
Clear.
The bottom line is the ideas you had are not the ideas on which our nation is built.
Lead counsel, I think here we have to agree on one thing, and that is the constitution and also our mandate as military personnel.
Your mandate as military personnel could only be understood vis-a-vis the constitution.
Correct, 100%.
Because it is subordinate to the constitution.
Correct.
The constitution is the highest law. Your mandate would never give you the authority to overthrow the constitution.
You are right.
So therefore, the ideas that you had, that the constitution has given you the responsibility to make sure that standards don't go down, the idea that you have to make sure that there is no mistreatment of a person in this country.
Certainly.
The idea that you have that it's your right to prevent any violation of a person's rights.
Correct.
The idea that you have that it was your responsibility to be the watchman of the country to ensure that everything goes well according to your standard is a wrong idea.
You may profile it as a wrong idea, but our ideas come from a background. And this background was the reality on the ground at this particular point in time.
Let's put it this way.
Okay.
You were angry at what was happening. You were not happy. And then you found your own solution. A solution that you were not given under law. Correct?
No, we are not angry. If we were angry, it would have been a bloodshed. We are not angry. We are responsible officers and men.
I agree with that.
Right.
I agree with that. What I'm trying to drive at is,
Okay.
you were not happy with the status quo, correct?
Correct.
And you thought that the status quo should be changed.
Correct.
You also realized that you had the power to change the status quo.
We have the power under the Constitution.
No, you had the physical power to change the status quo.
But this physical power was our power where we are mandated. This is our power. Like
So it's still your position that you are mandated under the Constitution to overthrow that same Constitution.
No. I will not agree with that statement.
So when you overthrow the government, a democratically elected government,
Correct.
you are overthrowing the constitutional order.
In that situation, yes. But
Okay, yes. So therefore, when you take it upon yourself to overthrow a government, you are overthrowing the constitutional order which you agree you have no authority to overthrow.
correct. But the Constitution also guarantees that Constitution must be upheld in the right way.
And if it is not?
Then you look for means and ways how to hold those people responsible to bring that Constitution under control.
And how do you do that?
By the means we have.
Which is a military coup d'etat.
Of course.
So you are still justifying a military coup d'etat as being a legitimate and lawful course of action.
No, as I said, nowhere on this wall is a military takeover allowed under the Constitution.
So you cannot have it both ways. You cannot tell me that we don't have the authority under the Constitution, that it is lawful, it is unlawful. And then you turn around and say, this is the authority we are given under the Constitution. It has to be one way or the other.
Yeah, klar. Let's look at it this way, for example. If you are inside a house, and the house owner said you cannot go through the window, everybody must go through the door, and all of a sudden fire breaks out in the house, you have only the opportunity, if you cannot go through the door, you have to go through the window.
But that is not a very good example.
May not, but you are saving your life.
No, that is not a good example.
Okay, I agree. If you say so.
The Constitution has established a way to change the government.
Certainly.
The Constitution says that there would be elections, free and fair elections, at certain intervals.
Okay.
That is the way in which our governments are changed. Correct?
100% correct.
The Constitution does not give you, the soldier, the power to change the government.
Correct.
So by your attempt to change the government, you are acting on an illegality.
100% correct.
And that is why it is called treason.
Right.
So what you were thinking you were doing for the Gambian people was an unlawful act.
Okay, if you say it so.
But that is the law.
Okay, I agree.
You agree that that is the law.
I agree.
So these notions of the power you were given by the law is in fact a misconception.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to, now that we have agreed on that, we move on to the situation surrounding July 22nd.
Right.
You have told us that there was corruption in the country, there was tribalism, there was political intolerance, and all those ills in our society which compelled you to organize a coup d'etat.
Right.
Can you tell us how this coup d'etat was organized? Who was involved? What were the plans and all that?
Okay. The last straw that broke the camel's back was once I was in a taxi coming from Banjul to Brikama, and then it was 5 o'clock. BBC Focus on Africa, Robin White at the time, and then he posed a question: which country has its defense in the hands of another foreign country? And then when the answer came, it was like with laughter. I felt disgraced because I was in uniform in the taxi. And from there on, I said to myself, we have to look at this situation properly. We cannot continue the way we are in the military. And then I started to talk to Edward Singate. And then we started looking at it together. We put our heads together. It took some time, of course. It took some time, of course.
When did that happen?
This would be 7 months to July 22nd.
Good, proceed.
And along that line, we had to open up to the people or the soldiers and officers whom we felt we could approach and understand our point of view.
Who were they?
These are many. For example, Ndur Cham. For example.
What was his rank at the time?
Ndur Cham was a captain at the time.
And who else?
A major.
Okay, tell us first more senior officers and the immediate senior officers, and then your level, and those even below.
Okay, I want to make a little bit, want to say something. As an officer, I am not obliged to say everything to the public, if I the civilian public.
Let me address that particular issue.
Okay.
Before this commission of inquiry, this Truth Commission, you are obliged to answer every question the commission asks.
Okay.
If you have to say something that is an official secret, this is official secret, information that is classified as official secret, we can clear the room and you would answer.
Okay, this
right? But you cannot say you would not answer a question of the commission.
Now it's clear.
Unless by answering that question, you may be incriminating yourself. You have a right not to incriminate yourself. And even at that, the commission can compel you to answer, and then if they would be willing to give you use immunity for the answer that you provided. So the law clearly is that you have to answer the question.
Okay, I was not thinking on the incrimination side, rather on the classified information.
Okay, all right. Well, the self-incrimination has already been done. You were planning a coup d'etat.
Correct.
Okay, but that coup d'etat succeeded. So the success of it supersedes, and all the other illegalities can be put aside. So there is no incrimination here. If you think there is an official secret, you can write it down, and we can pass it to the commissioners, and they would see it. But you would have to answer questions. Thank you very much.
I will.
Proceed, please.
Okay. As I said, we are trying to find a better team together, a solid team, secretive, and determined. And this took us almost 7 months to get to a point where we had a particular team, a closely knitted team together. That was myself, Second Lieutenant Sanna Sabally, Second Lieutenant Edward Singate, Second Lieutenant Sadibu Hydra, Second Lieutenant Yankubu Ture, Lieutenant Yaya Jamme, I think Major Ndur Cham, Second Lieutenant Alaji Kante, Second Lieutenant Alpha Kinte, and Lieutenant Basiru Baro.
Any captains involved?
No.
Do you know a person called Captain Mamad Cham?
I know him very well.
Was he part of it?
I would not say, another I can say yes or no, but here from my own side, no.
Let's not divide it according to sides. Let's put all sides together.
Okay.
Was he part of it?
To my knowledge, no.
What do you mean by that? I'm watching your words. To my knowledge, no.
Right.
Did you receive information as to whether he was part of it?
No.
Did you discuss his involvement or potential involvement with anybody?
At the preparation and planning stage, no.
At other stages?
On the 22nd July, Edward Singate came with the information.
That what?
He would be part of us.
He would be or already was part of it?
He could be part of us. It was a suggestion. If we could cope him in.
Do you know whether Singate had informed him and sought, just hear the question, and sought his blessing or support before 22nd July?
This I wouldn't know because Edward had never told me.
Okay. So, but as far as you're concerned, on the eve of the coup, the most senior officer involved was Trrc.
2 days before.
Up to 2 days before.
Right.
It was Trrc.
Okay, now that would be on Wednesday.
So can you tell us quickly a bit about the planning? We have 1 minute to the first break.
On Wednesday, this would be on the 20th, if I'm right. We had our last meeting to wrap up things together. And then because Jawara was supposed to come back the next day. So actually we wanted to stage the coup on the 21st, right from the airport. So we went to have our final meeting.
Where was that held?
This was at Fajara, at the big site, where Jammeh was staying, the military office at the time.
Military
the
police.
Paramilitary.
Okay.
Military police, so to say, exactly.
Who was in attendance at that meeting?
It was myself, Lieutenant B. Sabally, Second Lieutenant B. Sabally, Captain Lieutenant Sadibu Hydra, Lieutenant Yanko Ture was in Farafeni already. Lieutenant Jammeh, Ndurcham.
How about Minte?
Second Lieutenant Edward Singate.
How about Minte?
No.
What happened to him?
Which Minte?
Lieutenant Minte.
No, he was never part of it. Never.
No. Kinte, I mean to say. Kinte.
Okay. Before all these days, up to this point in time, along the way, they dropped out. For example, Lieutenant Basiru Barrow, came and said, I cannot take part anymore, and he was out. On this particular day also, Ndurcham said he wouldn't take part in it. In fact, I could remember on this particular day, he came with his shirt turned upside down until Jammeh, Yaya, was making the joke between Serer and the Jolas.
Saying what?
And in Wolof, Yaudenga Toy, Volbutiko Sambuabi. Mom, okay, he came in a hasty, therefore he gave home in a hasty because his wife was giving him trouble, and then, yeah, he came like that.
Mr. Chairman, it's 11:30. We take our first coffee break, and when we resume, we will continue our discussion about July 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my counsel, for that. That was quite an extraordinary exchange and your effort to try to ascertain the mindset in the military concerning the role of the military in the council under the Constitution. Quite an exchange. I think we will come back to that at some point and try to understand what literally perverted view by role of military under any constitutional dispensation. But let's take a break, 30 minutes, come back at 12 noon. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.